having him on the desk, as well as Stone. Take it away, boys.
That is absolutely right, Mac Dewey. That is 2 games in a row for Glaive. This one looking a lot more decisive. And Stone, I think we need to start having a real serious talk with AOE right now.
Yeah, AOE, Totomax absolutely just smurfed that game. 2v1ing in the mid lane against the mid jungle duo, using that summoner spell barrier to absolute perfection. Multiple perfect petrifying gazes, just like we talked about. The miasma was coming down, and it was just a really, really tough game for AOE to play. And it looked like Glaive was in their head a little. They backed around 18 minutes, like they backed in a weird spot. Beastlance is trying to go to comfort here. I think that they can definitely win the next game. They just need to reset, take a breath, and play your game.
Yeah, and that seems to be the name of the game here. Comfort is we keep allowing this bot lane to play exactly what they want to play. We're prioritizing draft around these jungle picks, and to be quite frank, it's really it might just be a matter of taking bot lane off of something that's comfortable. We haven't seen a single team challenge Kiba and Ise on their pools at this time and try to create an advantageous draft. And quite honestly, that's what it's starting to feel like. It's starting to feel like Glaive just has too deep of a pool in too many roles, and AoE's game plan just doesn't seem to be working out for him so far.
Yeah, this bottom lane strategy of picking Beastlance can go toe to toe with Kiba. Like these bottom lanes can go to toe with one another. Kiba and Ise are getting the advantage at the moment, but I don't see Beastlance and Jabber backing down at all. What I'd like to see is a Thresh ban. I think that you got to ice the kicker here. You got to take Issei off of this Thresh. I don't think I've seen him miss a hook. Like, you just got to take him off the pick. He's clearly feeling the pick right now. Take him off the pick, put him on something different, and maybe he starts to make a little bit of mistakes. And then save Beastlance's pick, give him counter pick. That's what I would do. Give him counter pick, let him pick something into the team comp that he knows he can carry the fights against. Play safe in the lane, get to these mid game team fights because Beastlance is playing them really well. It's just that at that point in the game, Glaive is kind of just smacking them with their wallet.
That is exactly right. And I mean, I know that I've got this back and forth with Gunjin now. He hates Callista. I love Callista. But quite frankly, the champion is very low range. It was a very beefy composition they were up against, and a composition that Callista has an incredibly hard time playing into. If that was maybe, I don't know, Jinx or something, like his secondary Jinx, much longer range, a little safer. But giving him something with the option to play at multiple ranges and playing multiple modes in a team fight or in a certain state of the game definitely would benefit them, especially since they put so many resources into trying to get Beastlance ahead when Sharp Circle's not doing Sharp Circle things. And he even had, we haven't even talked about mid lane yet.
Yeah, Sharp Circle. I think that Sharp Circle was just trying to carry this team, like drag this team back into the game at certain points in this game, just making play after play. They were all successful. It was just, again, one of those things where it was just like a little bit too little too late. But I want to see, I said that maybe they should flex Seraphine mid, and I'm clearly wrong. Sharp Circle needs to be on a playmaking champion. I want to see Seraphine picked in the game because I know it's very broken, but I also want to see Sharp Circle popping off on something. I want to see him get another comfort pick. I want to see him get something really good and see if he can carry this game.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And part of it is just like game one seemed to be kind of like edging in the right direction, but maybe like tracking the jungles, tracking McShoot'ems a little bit better so that the isolated 2v1 is an actual isolated 2v1 in a gank, and you're not getting impact from McShoot'ems, you're not getting impact from Ise, you're getting isolated kills, isolated successful ganks that actually lead into proper advantages being spread across the map, and that way that minimizes Kiba's impact on the game.
Yeah, I don't think they knew where McShoot'ems was early in that game. I think he went leashless, if I remember correctly, which means that unless you have a deep ward in there, which I don't think they did, you don't really know what's going on. And that sort of led, I think the caster has pointed it out really well, that it led to this situation in the bottom lane where they're hitting level 2 first. Kiba and Ise are hitting level 2 first. And Beastlance and Jabber, I don't know if they just didn't back off at the right time or didn't count the minions or something, or they weren't ready for it.
And it looks like we're getting prepared to get in a draft here soon. Not quite yet. We'll let you guys know in just a second, but we are readying up over here for the final game of our best of 5 to figure out who's going to be playing against Omega Gaming Unleashed. Yes, I heard Unleashed. Here in the final. But yeah, Glaive eSports up 2-0. AOE God Squad is on the back foot, and we don't know what to expect here. Are you expecting to see some kind of craziness in draft, or do you want to see them make like minor adaptations to what they've already been trying?
I want to see them go back to what they tried to do. AOE God Squad tried to do in the first game. Glaive Esports is so aggressive, and if you can just weather that storm and get to the middle game, to these team fights around the Baron and the Dragon, third, fourth Dragon, I think that that's the way to beat them. I want to see them go back to a Tristana pick or something like this, something that scales really well. I think that they can pick scaling champions in the middle lane as well, and I want to see them do that.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the same is going on. We've gotten into draft now, and we see Skarner getting banned first thing. We see Hecarim follow it up again. Jinx going down. Oh, I said pick Jinx. Jinx got banned in the first rotation last game.
Yeah.
It seems like it's starting to feel like Glaive has their number, but I don't want to give up hope quite yet because we've seen AOE God Squad win these, and I would be excited to stay up late for a best of 5, a reverse sweep here. We almost saw one last week. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, but
so, and here comes Kaisa,
yeah.
right? Glaive just picking the champion again. But I think that something that's underrated here that hasn't really been talked about a lot is that there are good picks into Kaisa. We just haven't seen people playing them into Glaive. I think that Vayne is actually a decent pick. If Beastlance wants to, again, try and just be like, I'm going to be more useful in the late game, instead he goes with the Xayah, which I like because it's going to open Sharp Circle up in this middle game so the team can peel for the mid laner a little bit more rather than the bottom laner. Xayah being this very safe champion, right? So if you have an Olaf running at you or something like that, you use your ultimate and you can just kind of peace out and say, nope, I'm done. I'm good to go. So I do like the pick. It's not, I would have gone with Vayne, but I do like where they are, and I think it's smart.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we actually see the Rel lock-in going in. I will quickly mark that on my bingo card. Rel, Kaisa being a pretty good combo here, seeing the Thresh finally go down. And it's almost like he had it in mind. As soon as they got to that pick, instant Rel. But on your subject of Xayah, actually, what was a few seasons ago, we pretty much had like this season and a half of Kaisa versus Xayah every single game. And I think that Kaisa recently was just a little bit too strong. I'm actually curious to see how Xayah does now after getting a buff. Her items are a little bit more beneficial, and she brings a ton of utility to competitive play. So her solo queue might not be impacted as much by the nerfs in bot lane this patch, but I'm really excited to see if she can shine in competitive play.
Yeah, the Xayah coming in, not my pick, but I'm not on the team for a reason, right? Like, I think they know better than I do, and I actually really like the draft as it's shaping up for AOE God Squad at the moment. The Alistar pick being very strong as well, and just another lane it's a little bit safer, but can still be aggressive if they need it to be.
That's absolutely right. And we see another Yasuo Rise ban coming out for Glaives in the second half. Same exact thing as last game. Their plan is just to keep AoE from pushing, keep Totemax, and keep Sharp Circle in lane as long as possible, and kind of snowball across the map using priority here. So don't give him anything he can push with. And again, with that blind Psy on top, this is looking very reminiscent of last game with just a few minor adaptations. But we're looking at a Shen versus Sion slap fight in the top lane yet again.
Yep, I think AOE God Squad have addressed this situation perfectly, this draft perfectly. Giving the counter pick to Sharp Circle in the mid lane is going to be huge here, and I think that it gives them a really good shot at winning this game. I think that they've really buckled down and said, no, we're winning. Like, this is going to happen.
And this is their last chance too. We saw the Kaisa first pick. They said, all right, you get it one more time. The casters won't shut up about it. We want to beat it. It's almost like a point of pride for them. And to be quite honest, you pointed it out. Xayah Alistar does apparently counter Kaisa Rel. We'll have to see how it goes, but we actually saw the Rek'Sai getting locked in. Cassiopeia, again, they're trying to prevent that mobility and neutralize the effect that Udyr can have on the game. Rek'Sai definitely not going to be winning those 1v1s once Udyr gets a little farm under his belt, but Rek'Sai in the early game has a ton of impact, has a ton of gank opportunities, and multiple paths you can take. And given that AoE God Squad has shown a propensity to sort of not ward very efficiently, it might be a very good option for snowballing the early game and accelerating the game state again.
Yeah. AoE, I love the Orianna pick coming through here. I think they're doing exactly what I was talking about. They're going to try and weather the storm in the early game, play safe, get to these mid game team fights where a huge shockwave and the Zaya is actually going to be able to pop off. Kai'Sa is a champion that if Glaive don't do what Glaive does, if they don't get ahead, then their champions kind of fall off. Cassiopeia is sort of this late game insurance for them, and Totemax absolutely, smurfed the last game, played really, really well. But Orianna into Cassiopeia is just a little bit of a different beast, where maybe the Cassiopeia enters these mid game team fights and doesn't have any kills.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that too is Orianna is able to zone off the relatively low range on the side of Glaive eSports. Ball positioning is something that I want to keep a really close eye on this matchup, and not necessarily the actual mid lane. It looks like they've actually calmed down a little bit. We're not seeing these crazy like Yasuo versus Zeds. We're not seeing the Akali trying to pop off. And granted, he had a fantastic Akali game, but I think slowing down the middle lane a little bit and using mid lane as a source of control and stability is definitely the way AoE God Squad comes back this series.
Yeah, I think Orianna has a lot of agency over priority in the lane in the early game and even into the middle game, especially if she's going to bring TP. And maybe Cassiopeia still has to bring barrier. I'm not sure. I don't know about that one. But yeah, I think that the Orianna pick, speeding up the Udyr, put the ball on the Alistar for a wombo combo. I just really think that AoE God Squad had a really, really good draft here.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Cassiopeia, I believe, has the option really here. If Cassiopeia wants to recognize that Orianna does have power over priority, like you said, she may be able to use teleport to sort of get a cheater back after wave 3 and then use teleport to stabilize and push the lane prior to the first dragon. She might be able to use it to enable Rek'Sai for roams to the bot lane early. But she also does have the option to take the barrier, although I don't foresee an ignite coming out of Orianna. That'd be awful aggro if she did.
Yeah. I mean, Sharp Circle has been really, really aggressive in this matchup, but also is a very good and smart player. So I'm not sure we're going to see that through. But yeah, and I think that Glaive Esports has a few weaknesses, particularly this Rek'Sai. I'm going to say it, and then McShootums is going to like pot it off, and it's going to be weird. But this champion falls off, right? So if you don't get ahead in the early game, if these early ganks don't work out, and we kind of have some hard lanes to gank. You've got, a headbutt that's going to push you out of the bottom lane. You've got a Scion who I guess you can go kill Scion if you want, but he kind of doesn't care about it. And then Orianna is just very safe in the middle lane. So I'm not certain that this Rek'Sai pick is going to net them the early game advantage that they really want to see.
Yeah, and while Rek'Sai is incredibly powerful at ganking those side lanes and has multiple options, that early mid lane, there's certain champions similar to Rek'Sai, like the Jarvan, like the Xin Zhao, who have similar pathing and ganking patterns, who can gank at level 2. And Rek'Sai can't. Rek'Sai can't just do red and gank mid very easily. She doesn't come like baked in with her mobility unless she goes for something weird like starts E with a hard leash and then goes WE with no Q, but that would seriously nerf her clear.
Yeah. And the options again they're just not as prevalent for McShootums, and I think that could be a problem here in the early game. But we have seen Glaive force. I look for the Rel to flash in, and the Alistar. You talked about it a little bit. The Alistar does kind of counter Rel here, but you have to have that timing down perfectly. If you don't, then Rel's going to get on your carry. That could be bad.
Yeah, and I am excited to see this. You know what? I'm actually going to take a risk this time. I personally am going to say AoE God Squad's draft looks really good, and I think they have the tools to finally figure out what it is to slow this down. I'm going for AoE God Squad personally.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Their draft looks really, really good, really, really smart, and I think they got it.
All right, and we're going to have to find out here. Let's see if AoE God Squad can put their money where my mouth is. uh, for the lack of a better term, I've been Dory K. This is Stonefeld yet again, and we're going to see Gunjin and MacDewey in Game 3. Let's see if AoE God Squad can keep their playoff dreams alive, or if Glaive Esports is going to send a statement so mega gaming for the finals next week.
Hello, Summoners. Welcome back onto the Rift for game number 3 of this best of 5 series. It's Glaive eSports Rose and AOE God Squad once again taking the Rift head on. AOE grouping up as a bit of a squad. Sharp Circle going to be a little bit of a decoy jabber, and the rest of the team going to head into the Glaive territory. So far through this series, Gunjin, it has been Glaive dominating, Glaive playing their way, playing their tempo, and through Issei and Kiba and McShoot'ems, really overall, the whole entire squad doing really well in the start of this series. They have been able to take down AOE God Squad twice through 2 games.
Yeah, game number 1, it was definitely a lot more back and forth, but you could see kind of the inklings of the cheese as McShoots had such a great early game, and then game number 2, it felt like all Issei all the time with just great bot lane play from both Kiba and Issei, just getting them ahead. And once Glaive is ahead, it's really hard. They don't really let off the gas pedal to the metal, and then ended the game in about 25 minutes, but it took a little bit longer. It's just some little bit of overforce from Glaive, the usual Glaive stuff.
Of course. It wouldn't be a Glaive game without that kind of action. And McShoot'ems on the Rex side, Gunjin. I've got to be honest, I'm a little worried about this pick, but earlier on he did make the Elise pick work. So I do kind of have faith in McShoot'ems to know what he's doing. I do want to point out also that AOE God Squad, because of their bottom warding, they know McShoot'ems is on the top side of this map.
I think the fact that they got that early invade is going to be really important just for the jungle matchup. Rek'Sai, especially right now, can get exploited because of how fast Udyr clears and the amount of damage he's able to do initially, even with Rek'Sai having the Conqueror and being a little bit more of an early game focused champion. Again, the Rek'Sai pick I do think can get exploited by Scout on this Udyr, but I don't know if that is Scout's playstyle. A lot of Scout's playstyle we've seen in semis and in quarterfinals when they played against No Fear Wolves is a lot more about setting up his team and kind of getting them ahead. So like I don't know if he exploits that matchup a lot enough for that to be kind of like a big contention point. The big thing I want to mention for this game is that we did see the bot lane kind of finally switch up for the side of AOE God Squad, with Beastlance and Jabber having this Xayah and Alistar pick, kind of a double counter pick for this Kiba, Kai'Sa, and Rel pick, as the Alistar is able to disengage pretty much any sort of Rel engage, and then the Xayah is for a long time known as this counter matchup against the Kai'Sa. So in terms of just overall matchup wise, I do think it is AOE God Squad favored. So we won't be seeing the bot lane 2v2 kills for the side of Glaive eSports Rose in this game. But how it's going to work out for the rest of the map, again, Kiba and Issa have been playing so well in these first two games. I am still scared as we go into this early game dragon fight for this big Rel combo from Issa.
Gunjin, now, is this one of your famous promises again about bot lane action?
I promise no bot lane action unless junglers interrupt the pool party, but they're looking to.
Jabber with the engage to start things off. Kiba is stunned up. The double bear slap by Issei. Such a solid job finding the interrupt. Scout isn't able to tag Kiba, but Issei is now getting real low, able to flash away. And Glaive survived the game.
Great play by Issa to make sure that Scout was never able to continue following up after that bear stand stun. Good play by this bot lane. Again, there's going to be a lot of focus from the side of AOE God Squad to try to shut down this Kiba's Kai'Sa, because again, if you're giving it to him, you're at this point you have to be saying we can do something with the mid lane.
Sharp circle, nowhere to run. He's grounded in first blood. Goes over to Tutamax and McShootums. McShootums has been absolutely lethal in the jungle through the start of this series.
And McShootums was able to path, again, he wasn't able to get exploited in the jungle early by this Udyr pick, and so he was able to path around, get the bot lane. Alistar goes in.
Issei gonna get knocked up and rooted by the Blade Caller. Jabber did, I believe, find the Alistar stun. I actually don't know if he did, but regardless, Jabber and Beastlance forced to back off the Xayah. No mana at this point in the lane. They've been going back and forth, especially in that bot lane, Gunjin, but I know you promise no more until Scout or McShootums comes back around. Without that side flash, it's going to be even more challenging for McShootums to find these ganks. Miho, though, on the other hand, getting to a real power point in the game, already level 5, about to hit that level 6 mark.
Yeah. Again, I promise the pool party will not be interrupted unless the junglers want to kind of take a dip in the pool. McShoots, I do want to comment on McShootum's pathing this game. I think it's been really good for how, again, it is an unorthodox pick. We don't see the Rek'Sai a lot anymore just because of how kind of gated she is as the champion. She does stuff well in the early game and then has to transition into a all-out assassin or just kind of a worse anything. She goes in, knocks one person up, and like, well, I'm here, unless she's super far ahead. But McShoot, his pathing this game has been really good. He's been able to kind of circumvent any sort of Udyr pressure, kind of being always on the other side of the map, getting any sort of camps, or even able to get topside scuttle as well. And that mid lane play was really, like, you could see the kind of the strength of this Rek'Sai pick as he was able to get over that Wraith wall, and then the Totenax lockdown was really big, getting the advantage for Totenax. We didn't mention him in game number 2 just because of the dominance of Kiba and Issei in that bot lane, but Totenax was playing in game number 2. He was hooping because you could see the amount of damage he was doing, and in that top lane fight that ended the game, it was just Totenax. Kiba, I think, was like sitting in base, and Totenax was like, I'm just gonna take it. I'm just gonna try to 4v5 here, and he played it out super well. So it is a champion that Totenax is super comfortable on, and I'm excited to see what he does in game number 3 with the lead he's been given by McShoots.
In the last game, Totemax on the Cassiopeia, absolutely kind of a nightmare for AoE God Squad to try to deal with, especially when it came to the kind of the objectives, especially around Baron Gunjin. I think back to how difficult it was for AoE to kind of start a fight because Glaive, by the time they're done getting what they want and by the time AoE is responding to what's going on the map, it feels like Glaive have kind of already won the fight as Directed Cam gonna take us all over the rift. No action for this.
Yeah, a big thing I want to mention is McShoots was able to, because Udyr ended up in getting that early Ocean Dragon, McShoots was able to take the entire top side for Mouse Scout, stealing away the red buff, and with the priority that Totemax right now has in the mid lane, he's pretty much all free to do it as well. So good play by McShoots, kind of using the tempo he has from Mouse Scout kind of being in that bot lane and having to focus on that Ocean Dragon to get a little bit of advantage just solo.
He's all over the map and seriously always looking for plays. Meanwhile, Issei gonna get knocked up, pulverized. He's stuck in the middle of a lot of AoE members. He's gonna try to turn this fight around with Kiba. AoE God Squad trying to find the picks. The Stand United coming through. Kiba gonna be fine with the time being. Totemax, meanwhile, getting a kill on the Sharp Circle in the mid lane. Mel Scout able to take down Issei in the bot lane. AoE trying to fight back in this one. Still trying to continue on the fight. Jabber and Mel Scout unable to finish off Kiba just yet. Meanwhile, Flaming Thunder taking on Miho. AoE God Squad Gunjin doing a pretty solid job in this fight, finding some plays and making it happen. McShoot'em, meanwhile, still wants to try to keep this one going. The ground from Totemax is doing so much work. The Snake is dealing so much damage. McShoot'em does die under turret. This one's getting turned around. AoE God Squad make the fight work in the bot lane.
And I just chuckle because I know that Glaive eSports knows what to do proper in that situation. It was just a 1-for-1 at that time. Totemax had just gotten the solo kill onto Sharp Circle in the mid lane. They end up losing Issei in the bot lane, and they end up already forcing out Flaming Thunders. At that point, Glaive eSports knows we can just disengage. We just got a massive advantage in the mid lane as Totemax is going to be able to farm, get a plate, push the wave in, and deny farm from Sharp Circle. Instead, again, you love and hate about them. Glaive will always try to push the tempo, always try to force it a little bit more, try to be a little bit more aggressive. They try to take the uneven fight in the bot lane, get punished for it heavily as they tried to take a 2v4 and then another 2v4, and then Totemax was like, maybe I can take the 1v4, and they just get punished for it, and advantage to the side of AoE God Squad. But the things that make Glaive eSports so fun to watch and make them end games in like 25 minutes is also the reason that sometimes in games like this, they can kind of get away from themselves, where they don't stick to the plan of just, let's just scale. We have Totemax at an advantage. Let's just let him carry us into the mid game. No, let's all of us fight bot lane, 4v4 boys, party bot lane, and you can see what happens.
We'll have to see what happens. Indeed, the dragon did earlier on before go the way of AoE God Squad. We've got this one spawning in about a minute. This time around, Gunjin, it's not going to be a dragon fight solely secured by Glaive's massive advantage from the bot lane. No, Mel Scout is a serious threat on the Rift. The Udyr 301 ready to pop off for this big fight. The Rift Herald going to get taken down in the mid lane as McShoot'ems and Totemax able to get a couple plates there. What's up?
I think we're trying to. We're just trying to catch up in terms of I think where the timing is right now.
Are we off?
Play mid lane here. Are we paused right now? Sorry, I don't. Okay, cool. Okay, McShoot tries to make the play mid. He isn't gonna be able to get it done. They're trying to make something happen here, but Rek'Sai flashing in just to die, and this Mountain Dragon most likely is going to go to the side of AoE God Squad unless a miracle steal can happen for Totemax.
Sharp Circle does also have teleport to return right back onto the Rift as soon as he recalls Gunjin. It's going to look like Glaive have to give this one away. AOE God Squad in game 3 have really found their footing. They're up 2 Drakes, and they're looking to turn this series around right here, right now. The reverse sweep dream begins.
The reverse sweep dream begins, and a lot of it's coming from the side of Glaive eSports Rose just making faults. They don't need to make plays like this. They have a scaling Cassiopeia that you are soon about to unlock when you, after you drop the Rift Shield and then plates end up going down. But they just keep trying to force fights. McShoots just tries to get the solo kill onto Sharp Circle. He's able to get away from it, and they end up losing the dragon as well. Again, right now, you don't need to be really concerned about the dragons, as it's just the first 2 Ocean and Mountain going up to the side of AOE God Squad, but you can't make plays like this too often, because again, AOE God Squad is still a competent team. As much as you've kind of dominated them in game number 1 and 2, you can't keep giving away kills like this, because they will eventually punish you. And play mid lane again. Shoots is just absolutely murdering Sharp Circle there. He gets the Prowler's Claw onto her instant knockup. Sharp Circle has no chance of flashing away after the grounding of the Miasma, and the mid lane Kingdom, assisted by McShoots, continues as Totemax is able to push in the wave, probably try to force down the mid lane outer tower as well, and advantage to the side of Glaive eSports Rose with about a 1.2k gold.
Glaive, even though they're down in the kills department, Gunjin, they're still making this game work in their favor. Kiba and Issei kind of silent in this one. It's been McShootums and Totemax stepping up in a big way to try to keep the game rolling in Glaive favor. They've got WoW to do. They've got places to be. They, I don't think, want to drop another game at all. But with the way they've been playing so far, really does speak to that. Their dominance, their playmaking potential as individuals. I wonder here, Totemax getting a little caught out, going to get caught by the shockwave, as well as the Udyr Mel Scout dealing a lot of damage, running down the snake, is going to be able to do some exterminating in the river, taking care of the problem. Issei now trying to gallop his way out of this one, but unmounted, doesn't have the move speed, can't get away from all 5 AOE God Squad members. They're hunting as a pack. They're gonna try this one, but here is the Flaming Thunder Train in the bot lane. He does get knocked up and caught up by McShootums. Melscout now the one in trouble. Shut down gold going over to McShootums. The rest of AOE God Squad pull a full retreat. Gunjin, they want to get out of here.
They want to get out of it, but that play kind of shows exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Glaive eSports Rose. McShoots is farming Gromp at the moment, and Totemax in a bush he doesn't have perfect vision of. He doesn't know if it's warded or not, tries to take a 1v1 kill against Sharp Circle as Cassiopeia. That shows kind of Glaive eSports Rose kind of in a nutshell, where they all want to make plays, they all want to play aggressive, they all want to kind of push the lead, push the tempo as much as possible. But sometimes they're just a little bit too over-aggressive. Oh my god, Jabber's working the play.
Given the thumbs up. Meanwhile, Issei, a huge magnet storm. This is what Glaive were looking for. Sharp Circle and Jabber get deleted to start off the fight. What else is Glaive gonna find? Totemax not gonna flash over the wall, not feeling that aggressive just yet. Glaive get 2 huge picks. Sharp Circle still with that teleport available. Isn't gonna probably need it. We've got the next Dragon Gunjin spawning in around a minute. The bot fight is gonna give Glaive a huge amount of priority. Beastlane's gonna be forced to Featherstorm immediately. And hey, that's a huge ultimate cooldown before this big objective starts.
Yeah, Beastlane's gonna have to pop that Xayah ultimate there, and you can see the power of Issei's Rel right there, getting the flash ulti Magnet Storm. We saw Jabber already use his Alistair. I don't think anything happens here. I'm not gonna get baited. I think, right? No way that Udyr runs down me. Yeah, Udyr's just like, you know what? I'm gonna just chill out, guys. But you can see, again, Jabber tries to force the play onto Totemax there, tries to get something over there, but the second that Issei sees that the alley Q is down, he just immediately calls it, gets the double engage off, and great team fighting. You can see the power of the Rel as we kind of move into these more and more clumped up team fights, as she's going to be able to get a lot of members on the side of AOE God Squad kind of clumped up to group together, as Totemex is going for a flank.
He's going to be able to find Jabber. That's the first kill of the fight. Now Issei does get caught in the shockwave. That's McShoot'em's with him. Tunamax trying to kite around the deer. McShoot'em's going under the turret. That's some classic Glaive aggression, baby. He gets caught and taken down. Beastlance getting a return kill. Sharp Circle and Mel Scout survive with a sliver of health. Meanwhile, Flaming Thunder has found Totemax caught out in the river. Once again, it's up to the bot lane for Glaive to turn this fight. It's going to be the unstoppable onslaught from Flaming Thunder to get right out of that engage. It's a 3v5 on the map right now for the side of AOE God Squad. They're going to be trying to teleport right down, but can Kiba and Co turn this one around? Flaming Thunder gets taken, killed by Kiba. Now going to have to try to run. Here is Mel Scout. Here is AOE God Squad making their stamp on the semifinals matchup. They're going to be moving to Soul Point after some Glaive over-aggression.
The Glaive over-aggression strikes again. We saw the Totemax flanking on the bot lane of AOE God Squad. Wasn't able to get too much done. And overall, again, the gold lead is still with Glaive eSports Rose, but they're constantly making these over-aggressive plays. My favorite part was McShoot's ulties into 3 members under tower, and then he says, I'm in a horrible situation. He says, I don't know how I got here, but whatever
Chuckles,
I did to get
I'm
here,
in danger.
I'm in danger, as he just dies right before the dragon fight is about to start. We haven't even seen a real dragon fight really even end up. It's just Glaive. McShoot's honestly dying like 30 seconds before a dragon fight, or a dragon's ever able to spawn. And now, Omega Gaming Unleashed, sorry, AOE God Squad do have the Soul Point already at 19 minutes. The sad thing to say is it is going to be a Cloud Soul. In terms of importance, it's not going to be too much. It's not the combat stats of either of the other 3 dragons, but it is going to be helpful. And the big thing is going to be, it's going to push them towards that Elder Dragon mark. If they can secure the Elder Dragon, if they can get that perfect vision, then it is going to be that big boon for the side of AOE God Squad as they try to push for the reverse sweep, the comeback. This is how you have to do it. One game at a time, one play at a time, and they're slowly making these plays happen.
And Gunjin, hey man, I get it. Mel Scout is definitely doing his best Fallen Artemis impression. I mean, this is how you do it. 3 dragons before 20 minutes in the game. I think Artemis, if he's in chat, is a little proud right now. But Glaive doing their classic move at the 20-minute mark. They are right at Baron Nashor, and this is going to have to be a huge response from AOE God Squad.
Yeah, it's God Squad again. I don't understand how the Glaive just does this play over and over again at 20 minutes. Melsko doesn't have flash. He can't get over the wall.
Petrifying Gaze to slow everyone down. McShoot'em secures the Baron once again. And Glaive head for the hills. Issei, the sacrificial pawn in the 3D chess game of League of Legends. Glaive eSports pick up a huge objective. They extend their gold lead to 4,000, and Totemax going to be holding down the fort in the mid lane. Does have to be careful at the potential engage. AOE God Squad have 4 members here.
And that's a play that's just, at this stage of the best of 5, it just cannot happen. We've seen Glaive make this play over and over again, especially when they have this Kaisa pick. And now with the Cassio, the dragon just immediately, or not the dragon, the Baron just immediately burns regardless of what the timing is. And at 20 minutes, the Glaive again pick up the dragon, or I'm going to say dragon, and I'm going to lose my mind. The Baron Nashor, as they have the purple buff on top of them. The thing I want to mention for the side of AOE God Squad, again, the gold lead is favored for the side of Glaive eSports Rose, but the big member I want to point out is going to be Sharp Circle on this Orianna. Every member on the side of Glaive eSports Rose, obviously they do dive in. If they can't get a beautiful engage off, then this point is moot. But in terms of overall team fighting, Sharp Circle is going to be the member that's going to really have to control these fights, because a lot of members on the side of Glaive eSports Rose are actually very short range. Kiba is a 525 range AD carry. Totemex does have to kind of run in and get this damage off, and with this Orianna ball kind of having that zone control, he can have a lot of damage in these team fights, and if he can catch these two carries of Kiba and Totemex that, again, we've seen play super aggressive, play a little bit too aggressive at times, he can be the big factor for a team trying to turn around this best of 5.
And what I really like to see from AOE God Squad right here in this moment, Gunjin, is their much better handling of the 1-3-1 push after Glaive do pick up Baron. We see Flaming Thunder matching up with Totemex. Not too bad. He's trying his best to hold it down. The turret does actually fall. Meanwhile, Sharp Circle doing his best job at holding Miho back. And I think AOE God Squad before in the previous series really struggled with this. It felt like with one Baron buff, Glaive took the entire base. Now they're limiting, but here is Issei with another massive engage jabber, and Melscout getting so low here. Melscout not going to be able to survive. That's the killer instinct coming through. Kiba going Ultra Instinct maybe in this fight, looking to try to extend things. Totemax doing work as well. Glaive getting the kills here. 2 may fall, but 5 get taken down. Flaming Thunder gonna make that an ace. Glaive come up huge with the Baron buff once again, and a spotlight has to be shown on Issei once more, Gunjin, because so far in the 3 games, he's been playing out of his mind.
Playing crazy. What a beautiful engage. Again, he holds all of his... He gets the engage up, but he holds the tools to make sure that he locks up the members regardless of any sort of flash or CC. And the big thing I want to mention was Totemax was able to catch AOE, sorry, not AOE, Beast Lance with a perfect petrifying gaze. No damage was able to come out from that Xayah pick at all, and Sharp Circle just wasn't involved in the fight until pretty late. And when you have both, this team from the side of AOE God Squad is so reliant on these 2 carry threats, both of those carries were pretty much neutralized by every member on the side of Glaive eSports Rose, and at 23 minutes, Glaive eSports take a sizable 7,000 gold lead as they are now pushing around this inhibitor tower mark for all sides on this. I am just tripping over my words right now. Glaive eSports Bros is ahead. AOE God Squad is 7k gold behind, and it is looking very rough for the side of AOE God Squad.
Gunjin, I got you. We're taking this marathon in stride. A few trip ups along the way ain't gonna hurt us too bad, as Glaive still looking to take over this game. Looking at the scoreboard, once again they find themselves in the middle of the 20-minute mark with a very substantial lead. 7,000 at the moment. Mac math sometimes checks out, sometimes doesn't. Don't worry, we got it under control. And 7,000 may be enough for Glaive to make this game work. Melscout looking for a pick on the McShoot'ems. Not gonna happen onto the Rex side. Issei, once again, looking for one of his signature engages. Super Minions gonna be making their way into the mid lane. The bot lane wave gets instantly cleared by all of those feathers. Gunjin, look at the top side of the map. Miho and Totemax working in tandem to take down more objectives on the top side of the map. Meanwhile, 4 members now. Sharp Circle moving up. It's going to be a 3v3 in the bot lane, a 2v2 in the top lane. Issei going to get caught out and knocked over the base. That's really where he wants to go, but he's going to take the unmount out of the base. Look at Miho now all alone, but no minion wave to try to get that turret. He's going to be rotating to the rest of the team. Keep your eye on the ball as well, Gunjin. Sharp Circle on the Orianna could come up big here.
On the Orianna does have the shockwave available. Totemax, again, Totemax and Kiba don't have the flash up right now, but they are going to have to concede this bot lane inhibitor tower at this point, because Glaive eSports Rose is just able to chunk out members.
Oh! The Wombo combo comes in, but is that going to be enough? Look at Glaive. They handle it in stride. Their carries unfazed. Totemax popping off. He's got himself a triple kill. Kiba finishes off Melscout, and this is Glaive eSports with yet another quadra kill, finishing off AOE God Squad.
And what more could you have asked for? Jabber got a perfect engage with Sharp Circle Shockwave, but it did not matter. Glaive is unfazed as they take the 26-minute win over AOE God Squad, locking in their finals bid versus Omega Gaming Unleashed next week. What a dominant performance from Glaive Esports Rose as they head into the finals of XLNC Mid-League.
Another mid-league season, another finals appearance for Glaive Esports Rose, once again sweeping their way, getting the brooms out of the closet. They're riding it all the way to their matchup to Omega Gaming Unleashed. And could we have written the script any better? I just don't think so, Gunjin, because now it's Ivar's perfect team to take on Glaive in the grand finals. I'm super hyped for this matchup, but before we get on there, do you have any final thoughts on this game 3?
I think game number 3 was a little bit messy. You saw what makes Glaive great and what makes Glaive kind of a little bit of inty whenever they try to be a little bit too over aggressive. But at the end of the day, the team is so solid. They know exactly what they want to do. And a big shout out to Totamax and Issei. These guys are making the big plays happen whenever they need it. Whenever Glaive kind of puts themselves in the back foot. A lot of times it feels like it's not the enemy teams kind of putting Glaive down. It's themselves just being a little bit too over aggressive. Issei and Totamax make the plays happen. They're the ones that are consistently clutch in these big team fights that make it so that Glaive is constantly winning. Glaive is constantly ahead in the early game, mid game, and in the late game. And shout outs to Issei as my player of this semifinal series.
For a little bit more of a breakdown on this series as a whole, to talk us through Glaive's domination, I'm going to send it back to my main man, Dory K, and Stone on the desk. Take it away, fellas.
Hey, Stone.
Hey,
I need to turn my mic on. Anyways, that was a quick 3-0. If you close your eyes for even a second, it was over.
yeah, and I think AOE God Squad there, they did what we wanted them to do. They picked a composition that was going to scale better, that was going to be better in these mid-game team fights. But there were a couple of missteps with which team fights you should take and which team fights you shouldn't. It's a kind of a difficult balance to have, right? So at 23 minutes, they kind of got caught out under a turret after Glaive Esports was able to take the Baron. And I think that was kind of the turning point where they needed to play a little bit safer and build up a little bit more gold. And honestly, from my perspective, it was surprising to see that Glaive Esports had such a big gold lead. I thought that God Squad was playing it really, really well. I really like specifically Beastlance playing a lot more safe on the Xayah pick and being able to deal out damage in some of these team fights. I mean, kudos to Issei for finding really good engages where Beastlance really couldn't be there. But I thought they were playing really well, and I thought they had a decent chance. There were just a couple of these missteps where they walked into a place maybe they shouldn't have been, or they got jumped on by a rel as their tier 2 turrets going down. These sorts of things.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. It looked like that they were pulling advantages back, but something that I kind of noticed while I was taking notes while we were watching the game was despite some of these kills and some of these picks leading towards like advantageous dragon takes for AoE, there were things like Glaive being able to respond and like not make a bad situation worse, right? So they were able to take almost an entire mid lane turret down as first turret while losing McShoot'ems in a kind of botched dive before the first dragon. I thought that was incredibly good at stopping AoE from getting a snowball rolling, and getting those kills kind of seemed like it almost fooled AoE into thinking they had a bigger lead. And to be completely realistic, they didn't for most of the game. Like, they had a little bit of an early game, but it definitely did not go quite the distance that they thought it was, maybe.
Yeah, and Glaive, we kind of say that this team is really, really aggressive in this league, but maybe we're just not paying as much attention. Maybe they're not as aggressive as we think, and maybe they're just taking what they can. I think they're one of the better teams at going, like, we can take this mid turret. Like, it's ours. We can take this. To where some of the other teams are like, can we? Maybe. No, let's play safe. And Glaive is just like, no, this is ours. We can take this. And then it sometimes leads to a fight because they get to pick these sorts of things. So I think, we say that they're aggressive, but I also want to give them, props, today specifically for just taking the objectives that were theirs when they could.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that sorry, Omega Gaming is going to have to keep their eyes out on next week, because if Glaive is allowed to kind of like take these small advantages here and there, then these leads that Omega's been fantastic at getting so far in the latter half of the season could just start to disappear. They're incredibly good at snowballing. They're incredibly good at having these explosive mid games. But if they overestimate their leads, maybe that they get in the series finals next week, then there's a chance that Glaive could do the same thing to them.
Yeah, exactly. And Omega Gaming sort of has the advantage. They did get that by Meme City Esports, unfortunately, having to forfeit their match tonight. So they kind of get a buy and a free pass into the finals, and they get to watch this game and see how Glaive are drafting and approaching the game. And Glaive doesn't get to do the same to Omega, right? So they have just a little bit of an edge going into the finals next week. And, maybe there's a secret to beating Glaive and they can find it.
Yeah, and let's not overstate like it all being focused around Glaive, saying Glaive was fantastic. Yes, Glaive won 3-0. Yes, it was at times a very dominant appearing series. However, AOE God Squad this season has shown us like shining examples of how to get early leads, how to mitigate loss, and how to have what was ultimately a fantastic season, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I look at the score lines here for AOE God Squad, and it just doesn't look like every single game. It just doesn't look like they should have lost that hard, right? I think that the Glaive's shot calling decision making has just been really, really on point since the playoffs started. And yeah, I think that AOE God Squad absolutely had opportunities to win this, and um, I think now knowing what they know, if they got to somehow play Glaive again, I'd love to watch it, because I think those first two games they didn't really have a plan in their draft, and I really like this plan in the third game. They just unfortunately couldn't execute it.
That's absolutely right. And I am super excited personally to see hopefully AOE, hopefully both their squads come back for next season, next summer split of XLNC. But however, there are winners, there are losers. And today, Glaive Esports were the winners, and we actually have DXD Issei here for an interview with Mac Dewey and Gunjin. Go ahead and take it away, guys.